Welcome to the Lyon Brave Show. Oh, 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 oh. Lyon Brave, Lyon Brave, Lyon Brave, Lyon Brave. Oh, oh.
Rolling backwards, trying to teach myself to float. I'm going 15,000 miles an hour. I ain't even left my home. Framework of an empty shell, living my own personal hell. While I'm going nowhere.
And we're back with Creatio.
I just went on the thing and got my good one, my good guitar.
Awesome. Could you play your new single for us?
Yeah, give me just a second and get situated here. All right, this is Going Nowhere.
Seven years gone by and I ain't done a thing except dance with ghosts and a cocaine nose. I wrap a truck around a tree. I ain't got no appetite. I don't see no end in sight. Well, I'm going nowhere.
Oh, give me a second. Let me get tuned.
Tuning is important for young musicians. You will break your strings when you are a new guitar player.
All right, yeah, it was just a little loud. Here we go.
Going nowhere.
Rolling backwards, trying to teach myself.
Going nowhere. Going nowhere. Going nowhere. Rolling backwards, trying to find a little hope. I need to pull myself out of this hell. All I need's a little rope. Spinning wheels and backhand deals. It's hard for me to cope. Flying high, just getting by until I get back home.
Flying high, just getting by until I get back home.
Creatio, I'm probably gonna edit this section because we had a problem catching the music with the microphone. But that's I'm gonna edit that section. But thank you for playing.
Yeah, if you want to just use the video for that section, that's fine.
Yeah, I will likely do that because it didn't pick up. It would be in the future. Hopefully I can maybe meet with some musicians in person so everything's better.
I didn't have enough time. Like, I thought about doing a more professional miking setup down here in my studio, but I didn't really have enough time to get the mics set up.
Oh, no big deal. It's not super professional on my end either. I'm just in the future, like I'm just starting I make music too. And
Gotcha.
I thought it would be good to, like I keep hearing a lot about podcasts, so I thought I would start a podcast with musicians. But I'm just starting, so I need to think about ways to do this more professionally myself. like, and it definitely, if I can ever just make time to go meet with musicians in person, it will be better quality and
Where are you
for
based out
everyone.
of?
Right
You know.
now I'm in Ohio. It's
Okay.
not my permanent home, but
I'll
it's
be
a
in Ohio later this year. I'll be in Greenville, Ohio, later this year.
well, let me know. I might that might be a good time. So a couple people are actually, a lot of people come through Ohio. Thank God. There's not much to do out here. But let's get back on track with you.
Okay.
Let's see. If you could perform any venue in the world, where would it be?
Oh boy. Oh boy. I think Red Rocks would probably be Red Rocks. Yeah, Red Rocks for sure. I don't
Uh,
know if have you ever seen Red Rocks? Like I've been on tour before, and you know, as I was passing through, made it a point to stop at Red Rocks and check it out. It's such a cool venue.
what is it that you like about Red Rocks?
I mean, it's naturally carved out of. It's like an amphitheater that's made out of rock, like a rock formation in Colorado. It's awesome. It's like it's you know I don't know how they did it, but it's such a cool venue. It's I hear the load-in's pretty atrocious. That I heard you have to get like you can't take semis up to load in. So like all the bigger bands that you know have semi trucks, they actually have to you know load the semi trucks on the box trucks and then shuttle all the gear up to the theater because it's just such a windy road.
So you've performed like hundreds of shows across the nation.
Yeah, I've been yeah, I think hundreds is probably yeah, that's probably yeah, correct, I would say.
And can you tell me like if you what is your like wildest behind that like fan experience?
I mean, I guess it just depends on what era. Like I said, I used to do metal, so like I got some pretty good road stories from that. I got some, you know, touring by yourself and touring in a band is like two different things.
Yeah.
Um so I guess the band story, I remember one time we were playing this venue in South Carolina and we, you know, we were starting to get a little clout, I guess. I don't know. We were getting a little popular and we started playing out of state and um we went and played this venue called Ground Zero, and at the end of the night, they like locked us in the venue, and we were like, you know, we were drinking and having a good time, and you know, partied pretty hard that night. I'm not gonna lie. And then we went to a Waffle House and then to a hotel, and by that point, like we were all just, you know, we were gone. I mean, we were just having as much fun as you could probably have. We were young, and it's not like one of those Motley Crue stories where we staple the furniture to the ceiling or anything, but um, I remember we had a hard time getting the hotel, so we had a manager, and we sent the manager into the hotel to get us the room because they wouldn't sell it to me. And so the manager goes in and was like, "Hey man, we just need this room for a few hours. We'll be quiet." And he talked him into giving us the room. And then my bandmates were, you know, I was trying to sleep, but my bandmates were acting kind of a fool, being loud. And the manager comes and knocks on the door, and he's like, and you know, my manager opens the door, and the manager at the hotel's like, "Hey man, I thought you guys were going to be quiet. I've gotten like 4 phone calls. You've been in here for like 15 minutes." And my manager goes, "You can't control these guys. They're animals." And he just shut the door. I was like, man, we're going to jail. We are going to jail. But
That's
no,
funny.
that was a pretty, I mean, you know, in retrospect, that was kind of like one of those wild rock star nights you hear about. Um, and then, you know, I think touring by yourself, like I'm older now and I don't party or anything anymore. I might drink a beer here and there, but a lot of times I'm on the road by myself, or if I'm not by myself, I got my family with me now, and it just changes the whole dynamic. I have a better time now. Like ultimately, like things aren't as crazy. I can have a schedule, you know what I mean? But there's still like you still meet very interesting people along the way, and I think the scariest thing that ever happened to me outside of being in a really bad car accident on the road was almost getting mugged in Charleston, West Virginia, of all places. Yeah. And I was trying to help a homeless guy out and give him some food, and somebody else like tried to try to like basically, I mean, he was trying to, I guess, mug the other guy for what I got him, and I kind of stood up for him, and he pulled a knife, and I was just like, man, nothing in that bag is worth dying over. You can have my bag of food here. And I ended up talking my way out of that situation. But that was pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that muggings are pretty common when you're traveling, whether you're just traveling or for tour. Let's see what. But yeah, thanks for sharing your stories. There, those were good stories. Let's do. So what were some of your favorite bands growing up? Like, what are some people who inspired you to get into music?
So when I was really, really young, country was like my thing. I liked country when I was in like third, fourth grade, little kid. And then somehow like I progressed into rock and roll. I think Matchbox 20 kind of did that for me. I got into like the 90s alternative stuff pretty hard when I was, getting toward middle school. And then I heard System of a Down, and that changed like everything. I then became like a metalhead, and then Slipknot kind of came out, and I thought that was just the coolest stuff ever. And I just kind of, that was around the time where we could like burn CDs. I don't know, for all them youngins out there, I don't know they remember, burning CDs or not, but I remember just going on the internet and on LimeWire and just, burning every single metal song that I could find, and trying to consume all kinds of new music. Music's always been a big part of what so nowadays I listen to everything though. So literally everything. I'll listen to everything from Bach to Slipknot. So, or, Garth Brooks to the Killers, I, you know,
That
I
sounds
believe,
good.
I believe you got to kind of keep an open ear as a musician to be inspired.
Yeah, that's good. I actually was a big Bob Dylan fan growing up.
I like some Dylan. I do. I'm partial to Bob Dylan.
Not sure how I got into Bob Dylan, but I think like I was originally I was drawn to lyrics more than instrumental. So like I was actually like a big Bob Dylan and Eminem fan.
Yeah.
And they're in like they're in different genres, but they're both like they're really gifted with words, in my opinion.
Yes, they are. And I actually, I remember getting my Eminem CD confiscated as a kid. I remember buying that album, and then my mom finding out, and then she took the album and would not let me listen to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I wouldn't say I lived in the I lived in the CD, grew up in the CD burning generation, and I think like having to earn your content, like whether you have to earn the couple of dollars it takes for the blank CD, or you have to like go into Walmart and convince your mom to drive you there and pay $13 for a CD. Like I think like back in the day when you actually had to like make a plan to get your hands on someone's
Yeah,
music, that
music's just
was
not that way anymore, though. It's not, it's not tangible anymore. A lot of times it's just floating around in cyberspace, and it's changed the landscape completely of how we do business in music, for sure.
yeah, I hear a lot of to be honest, I work at a very good company. I don't make any music. I had a song that went viral and I didn't know about it because it went viral on like a platform I don't use. And I think like for like over 100,000 listeners, I made like $13.70.
You're doing better than I am, I'll tell you
like
that.
like I was like, like so I mean I don't have a manager, and I just, but like I'm pretty sure like unless you're touring, it's like damn near impossible to make money on
So
music.
yeah, that's the really how I make most of, selling t-shirts and playing shows. Like, I mean, that's the, I'm fortunate and lucky enough to be able to make a decent living. I've built some pretty solid, cool relationships with some really cool businesses over the years. Just playing these establishments, and they let me come in, and a lot of my shows. What you're going to see is the covers. I'll play a happy mixture of covers and originals, and it's usually about a 3-hour show, and it's it's a grind for sure. Like, it's not until you're 30 days on the road and all you can think about is your memory foam mattress back home and like your kids or whatever
Aw.
is back home waiting on you. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, the reason why I go do that is for my children, so that they can eat and live, and also so I can be sane. I've tried to make my way in the workforce in other ways, but like I'm just my heart's happiest doing music, so um, I can't see myself doing anything else.
Well, Creatio, I'm glad that you've been able to feed yourself with your music career, because that's something that a lot of musicians can't do. Like, I think if you can just make like 50K a year doing music, you're crushing the game. You know, like a lot of people, they're like hoping, like, you know, to be rich, make millions, but that's like a really minuscule percentage of musicians.
I mean, I pay my bills. The lights stay on, the food stays on the table. But I could not do any of it without, the businesses and the patrons of those businesses that help me move forward, or the people that come out to my shows because they heard me on the internet. All of those things add up, and I think it's hard for artists to kind of figure out how to create a viable, means. And then there's also this duality of like, a lot of times people tell you it's not safe to be an artist, and I think that's just a very skewed message that we're given to the youth. I believe that art is just as much a viable career as being an accountant or being a construction worker or working in food service, or you can. It just depends on how much you want it. At the end of the day, you have to be willing to like throw yourself into the fire and walk around in it and say, okay, this is what we're going to make out of this.
Well, I'm glad that we are talking about money, because I like to offer practical tips to young musicians. So if they are trying to, make a living, and let's start realistically, just pay rent, can you give them some tips on how to approach it?
Take yourself out of the music. Take yourself out of the music and give 100% to your audience. Like, the minute you give the audience what they want is the minute you're going to start seeing a revenue stream that you can live off of. Like, and like, granted, like I have to play some covers to make a good living, but I mean, at the end of the day, I get to play my instrument and sing my songs, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. Like when you're looking out in the crowd and they're dancing, whether it's your song or whether it's somebody else's song, but as long as you're playing that music, they're riding that wave with you, man. You're giving them what they want, and they'll give you what you want. They'll respect you for it, and it's a symbiotic relationship. And the minute that you can kind of take your ego away and just make art and just performance art, like you can make a decent living.
Okay, well, I know a handful of musicians who do exclusively cover music because they found that to be the way to eat. So can you tell us a little bit more about the dynamics of doing covers for a living?
So it's very double-sided, because at the core of what I do, I want to play my originals, but like,
Right.
obviously, like I'm a relatively unknown artist. I'm not, super famous or anything. I don't have, crazy ticket sales, but I do get to play at least a set, 45 minutes of my own music everywhere I go. So,
Cool.
and that's about what you're going to do on an original show anyway. 45 minutes to an hour. If you're headlining, maybe 2.5 hours. But I mean, I still get that. And what I found that works is, you give them a set of what they want, give them covers, give them bops, man. This is their Friday night. We are their muse, like, we're helping them forget about their problems or whatever it is. That's what music is. It is a way to connect. It's a language to connect with others. And if you can give people what they like, I've found, and I've done this like as an experiment at my shows, where it's like, I'll play a bunch of stuff that everybody knows, and then halfway through the night I go, all right, I've been playing covers up to now. Like, what do you guys want to hear? You want to hear more covers, or would you like to hear some original music? And 99.9% of the time, I find that people want to hear the originals. They want to hear your music. You just have to prime them for that experience sometimes. That's all.
Right. No, I definitely think playing a combination of original and covers is makes sense. And I'm glad that you do both, because I do know that covers are a way to make music more survivable. But yeah, like I'm all about original music. So I'm glad you're doing both, because I find that musicians tend to do one or the other. And usually musicians who do exclusively originals give up because they don't see the traction you get if you do covers.
I see both worlds, and like I said, I do both. I do both, and I do both. But it's great because there's other things that I like about playing covers too. This like for example, there's stuff that I like that I like. There's covers that I genuinely love playing because I connect with that music, and you know I get to expose the audience in front of me to artists they might not have heard on the radio. You know, there's artists that I cover that I think are just amazing artists and great songwriters, and a lot of times those are, you know, relatively, I mean, you know, not your radio commercial artists. You know what I mean? Like, what's a good example? You know, Jason Isbell, I think, you know, Blaze Foley's another one. Blaze Foley, he was he passed away in the 80s, but he was one of those artists that were just like way before his time, great songwriter, and there's not a lot of folks that know who he is, but when I play the song, people know it as a John Prine song because John Prine covered it. So
Aw.
that's what I'm saying is like even the artists that you like, a lot of them, take Elvis. Elvis didn't write any one of his songs. None of the songs that Elvis did, he wrote. He was a song stylist. He took the songs and he made them in the key of Elvis. That's it.
I like that.
When you come to one of my shows, you get the covers in the key of Creatio. You know,
That's cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. Oh shoot. Let's see. So what's one of your favorite covers to play?
no, that's a loaded question. There's so many. Um, I've been, you know, right now I've just been really big on Jason Isbell. I don't know if you know who he is or not. He's kind of an Americana blues artist. I think he's pretty fantastic. He's got a bunch of good songs. There's one called Live Oak that I do off. It's one of the B sides off of his breakout album. Um, I just think it's a great, well written song. Then there's of course, I'm a big Towns Van Zant fan, which is underground country kind of. Oh, what they call it, outlaw country. You know, like or red dirt country.
That's
Um,
shoot.
that guy, he was kind of before his time. He wrote a bunch of songs for like Willie Nelson and stuff like that, and he got kind of, he didn't get real famous till like after he died. So he was kind of like a Picasso, you know what I mean? Which is kind of cool. I'm not partial to just country though. Like I mean, I used to cover like Smile Empty Soul, stuff like that when I was doing more heavier stuff. But you know, I try to mix it up. I like to say that I have a song for everybody.
And then how did you come up with the name Creatio?
I got tired of being put in a box. You know, too often in the music world, people get so hung up on these genre boxes, and to create is the best part of making music. You know, so creatio is Latin, and it means to make something out of nothing, and to create, it's literally Latin for create.
So I was listening to your guitar styling, and like your instrumental is like really good. Like it's like really I don't really know how to describe it, but like how long have you been playing guitar? Do you have any tips for beginners?
Yeah, practice. Like sit in the room, spend time with your instrument. Play until your fingers can't take no more. I do that at least once a week. So, but I think it's just so important to spend time with your instrument and time getting and good at your craft. It took years. I started playing when I was 5, and I still don't think I'm the best guitar player in the world. Like there's still so much to learn out there, you know.
Yeah. So do you prefer acoustic or electric? If you could only take one on stage.
I like both. I just don't get to play both. So I'm kind of working on that though. I'm about to change my stage show up, and I'm about to be able to switch between both instruments. I'm going to play bass, keys, guitar, and acoustic guitar,
Okay.
electric and acoustic guitar.
We are about to run out of time. So where can we find you on social media? What are you up to? Quick.
www.creatioband.com. You can get to all my social medias from there. I got a whole album you can listen to for free up there. Show calendar, the whole nine. You can get to everywhere from there. So check it out.
Do I make the sound when I'm falling through the floorboards? Hype, hype, hype.
It's perfect.